Virgo, God continues to choose this person for you. Don't give up now. You've tried to close that door so many times you've lost count, haven't you? Every time you, with your brilliant analytical mind, laid out the facts, weighed the pros and cons, and decided it was time to move on, something invisible pulled you back. There's a person who simply won't disappear from your orbit. And no matter how much you try to rationalize, no matter how much you try to find logical flaws to justify a definitive separation, God keeps choosing this person for you. No matter how much you run away, the universe always finds a way to cross your paths again. And the big question that echoes in your silence at that hour of the early morning when mental spreadsheets no longer work is, why this person? Why of all people? For you, who detests what cannot be explained or controlled, was such a stubbornly inexplicable bond reserved. Perhaps you've reached your breaking point. You look in the mirror and think it makes no sense to insist on something that so drastically challenges your need for order. You want to give up now. You want to put an end to it, to organize your emotional life into the perfect little boxes you always build to protect yourself. But before you turn your back on it once and for all, pay close attention to what's happening between the lines of your own story. What you call the stubbornness of fate may actually be the greatest process of refining your soul. God doesn't repeatedly place someone in front of you just to test your patience. There's a mechanical, almost surgical purpose in this repetition, and by the end of this reflection, something inside your heart will make such profound sense that you'll finally understand why you shouldn't give up now. To understand what's happening, we need to look at how you function internally. You have a fascinating defense mechanism. When something threatens to get out of your control, when an emotion becomes too big, too disordered, you activate your critical sense. You start looking for flaws in the situation. You look at this person that God keeps bringing back and mentally list all the reasons why this doesn't make sense. You try to find the error in the equation. If there is an error, you can fix it, or rather you can discard it. It's like looking at a gear that's spinning out of rhythm. Your instinct is to stop the machine. You do this because feeling something that can't be categorized terrifies your essence. Love, or this magnetic connection, doesn't come with an instruction manual, and that leaves your internal alarm going off all the time. But notice the irony the universe has prepared for you. Every time you build a perfect logical wall, a wall without any cracks, this person appears and the wall simply dissolves. It's not that they forcefully knock it down. It's that their presence changes the frequency of the air around you, and you find yourself yielding, lowering your defenses, feeling an irrational peace that you then desperately try to rationalize. Why does God keep choosing this person for you? Because you needed someone who couldn't be solved like a mathematical problem. You needed a mirror that didn't reflect your need for perfection, but rather your infinite capacity to love what is imperfect. This person is the only one capable of accessing that secret room inside you where logic doesn't enter. And that's exactly why it hurts so much. That's why you want to run away. You are facing something that demands you feel without guarantees. It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book, The Divine Wisdom That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Purposeful Life. Is not just a manual or a compilation of astrological texts. It's a tool for decoding our own soul. I realized that we often spend our lives fighting against the blessings the universe sends us simply because they don't come in the package we idealize. This book helped me understand how to stop fighting the invisible current that pulls us towards our true destiny. You are now in this state of suspension, feeling the discomfort of a truth you have just recognized in yourself. Your chest tightens because you know I'm talking about that specific person, the one you tried to forget yesterday and thought about today when you woke up. That's why you need to act now, not tomorrow, not when the pain comes knocking again. The link is in the first pinned comment. But be aware, this content may be taken down. Click now, download your copy. Tell me in the comments, what's the most logical excuse you've ever come up with to try and distance yourself from someone, even knowing deep down it was pointless? Continuing this reflection, think about the weight you carry on your shoulders. You try to be the person who holds everything together, who organizes everything so that nothing goes wrong. When that person returns to your life, they bring a kind of chaos. But observe carefully what kind of chaos this is. It's not destructive chaos. It's the chaos of a strong wind entering a room that has been closed for a long time, scattering the meticulously organized papers on the table. In the first second, you despair at the disorder, but in the next second, you realize that the air in the room has become clean, renewed. God continues to choose this person for you because they are your breath of fresh air. They break your rigid routine and remind you that you are also human, that you also have the right to lose control from time to time and simply feel. Don't give up now because the process isn't over yet. What you're experiencing isn't a recurring cosmic error, it's spiritual training. With each coming and going, each attempt at separation followed by an inevitable reunion, a layer of dust is removed from your heart. You are learning to trust the invisible. For someone who trusts so much in what they can touch, measure, and fix, having to trust a spiritual bond you can't see is the greatest challenge of all. This person was placed in your path as a divine instrument of transformation. The discomfort you feel isn't a sign that something is wrong with them or the relationship, but rather the sound of your old protective structures breaking down to make room for something much greater. This is the point where fear reaches its peak. You look at the situation, you look at this person's constant back and forth, and you think that giving in completely means losing yourself. It means losing the sanity you've built with so much effort. But what if it's the opposite? What if yielding to this divine plan is exactly what will give you back yourself? You spend your whole life serving, being useful, helping others fix their own lives. Who takes care of you? God keeps choosing this person for you because they, in a twisted, imperfect, and sometimes confused way, see you. Not what you can do, not the spreadsheets you can organize, but you. The raw, vulnerable, and beautifully flawed essence that you hide from the rest of the world. In this very moment of tension, when you waver between surrendering to what you don't understand and fleeing to the safety of the known void, clarity becomes your greatest need. Understanding the divine mechanics behind your relationships is what will free you from this anguish. The divine wisdom that guides your zodiac sign towards a purposeful life acts as a beacon in this emotional fog. When we don't understand why a pattern repeats itself, we suffer. When we understand, we evolve. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. The disturbing truth is that you have a secret addiction to controlling even the blessings you receive. If something good happens but not the way you planned, you doubt it. You look at that person and see all the rough edges that need smoothing. You try to mold the connection, to fit it into your worldview. But divine love doesn't accept being molded. It is expansive, untamed. Don't give up now, because what is being asked of you is not that you fix this person or the situation, but that you accept the gift of living it as it is. The pain you feel when you try to walk away is the pain of cutting off a vital part of your own spirit. The universe has tied an invisible thread between the two of you, and every time you pull in the opposite direction, the thread only stretches and hurts your own hands. When you stop fighting the fact that God chose this person for you, something magical will happen. The tiredness will disappear. The cold war you wage with your own feelings will come to an end. You will realize that you don't need to understand every detail, that you don't need an exact map of where this will lead. The beauty lies precisely in walking in the dark, hand in hand, with the only person who, no matter where life takes them, always ends up finding their way back to you. Destiny has a very particular sense of humor. It took the most analytical and skeptical person it could find and gave them the greatest mystery of all, an unbreakable connection that logic cannot grasp. And as time passes and the reunions accumulate, you realize that the excuses you used to distance yourself are losing their power. What once seemed like an insurmountable difference now seems like just an irrelevant detail compared to the depth of what unites you. You've tried to fill the void with work, with routine, with the perfection of small, everyday things. But no external organization can silence the inner calling that echoes when that person's name crosses your mind. Accepting this fact is terrifying because it requires you to relinquish your greatest weapon, control. And when you let go of control, you are left naked before life and before God. But it is precisely in this moment of extreme vulnerability that the greatest miracle happens. When you finally lower your defenses and say to yourself, "I don't understand, but I accept," the tension disappears. That is the moment when your vision changes. The divine wisdom that guides your zodiac sign to a purposeful life comes in right here, guiding you in building a bridge between what your mind demands to know and what your spirit already knows. It's the understanding that we don't need to decipher all the codes of the universe to be happy. We just need to stop rejecting our own happiness. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. Deep down, you know this story isn't over yet. There are unwritten chapters, unspoken words, silences that still need to be filled. Don't give up now, because you're closer than ever to understanding the true reason for all of this. God keeps choosing this person for you because in the great mosaic of existence, their soul is the only one that fits into the hidden gears of yours. This is the person who teaches you that perfection isn't the absence of flaws, but the tireless will to keep coming back. Keep trying, keep loving, despite all the shortcomings. Therefore, the next time you feel the urge to retreat, to build that familiar wall, stop, take a deep breath. Look at the situation, not with the eyes of someone trying to find fault, but with the soul of someone who recognizes a gift. This person is the universe's daily reminder that you are worthy of a love that doesn't obey rules, that doesn't give up easily, that insists on existing even when everything around you says it shouldn't. Allow yourself to live this mystery. Let the beautiful chaos of this connection fill the blank spaces that your logic has never been able to explain. And remember, if the universe, in all its infinite wisdom, keeps bringing this person back into your life, it's because your story carries a much greater purpose than you can imagine. Don't close your eyes to what's right in front of you. What is meant for you will always find its way back. Your only task is to keep the door unlocked. Keeping the door unlocked doesn't just mean allowing the other person to enter, but having the audacity to withstand the cold wind of uncertainty that sweeps through the corridor of your own soul. It's a deliberate invitation for light to bathe the space, yes, but also for the oldest shadows, those you've hidden even from yourself, to be mercilessly exposed. We spend our entire lives learning to lock windows, erect barricades, and install invisible alarms in our hearts. We've been conditioned by past disappointments and a culture that confuses coldness with strength to believe that those who protect themselves and show no emotion are the ones who survive. And you survived, undeniably. You built a formidable and insurmountable fortress around who you are, but survival in itself is a terribly lonely, arid existence, devoid of a greater purpose. To survive is not to live life to the fullest. And the universe, which orchestrates the complex dance of galaxies with the same precision and delicacy with which it cares for the solitary beat of your heart, has irrevocably decided that it was time for you to stop merely surviving and begin to overflow. That's precisely why this person crossed your path, and even more extraordinarily, why they continue to orbit your existence, refusing to be banished to the cold periphery of your memory or to give up at the first obstacle. They didn't come armed with battering rams or explosives to forcefully demolish your walls. They came equipped with the immemorial patience of the tides that, drop by drop, wave after wave, mold and soften the hardest rock. There is an ancient and profound wisdom in the way this singular connection unfolds, a cosmic choreography not written by your frightened and controlling ego, but by your immortal and wise essence. Every time you tried to sabotage the process, every time you desperately sought to find a tiny flaw in the other and magnified it until it obscured the sun of your joy, you were, at heart, only testing the solidity and foundation of this love. You wanted to see if, at the slightest tremor, the other would pack their bags and run away, confirming your worst fears. But he stayed. He remained unwavering. And in the powerful stillness of that constant permanence, you were gently and firmly forced to confront your own reflection in the mirror of the relationship. What is most viscerally frightening is not discovering that the other person has flaws and scars. What truly causes night terrors to our rational mind, structured in spreadsheets and expectations, is realizing that despite our own glaring flaws, our cowardly escapes, our deep-seated fears and our inner mess, we are profoundly, entirely and unconditionally loved. To be loved when you are at your peak, when you are strong, brilliant, productive and easy to deal with, is the simplest thing in the world. Anyone applauds the midday sun. But to be loved on the dark days of inner turmoil, in the moments when you can barely stand your own company, on the days when the mirror reflects back an image you despise, that requires a soul connection so high that the cold logic of the earth will never be able to map it. This person, this being that the cosmos has placed in your path, sees clearly through the complex labyrinth of defenses you have created over the years, and sees the frightened, wonderful and vulnerable child at the center. And instead of demanding that the child grow up instantly or change their behavior to make things easier, she simply sits beside them, offering serene presence without demands, comfort without judgment. This is what mystics call love operating at a divine frequency, a vibration so high that it immediately dismantles the arrogance of the mind that thinks it can predict, classify, and control everything that happens. When you stubbornly insist on understanding the mathematical how, when, and why of everything, you completely lose the sacred magic of the now. Your chronic need for future guarantees and armored emotional contracts is the heavy iron anchor that prevents your boat from sailing through deeper, more mysterious and wonderful seas. The universe, understand this once and for all, does not sign contracts with emotional security clauses. It doesn't give you insurance policies against broken hearts. It offers opportunities for evolution. It extends a generous hand through breathtaking synchronicities, encounters that defy statistics and crossed glances that carry the undeniable weight of millennia of recognition. Your only vital part in the deal is to have the audacity to lower your guard, grasp that invisible hand, and walk into the dark unknown, knowing that light will appear with every step. Often, what we call self-sabotage cleverly disguises itself with the mask of intuition and self-preservation. You might feel a sudden tightness in your chest, a lump in your throat, and tell yourself very convincingly that it's a warning that something is wrong, when in brutal reality, it's just the pure, distilled panic of your ego, realizing it's definitively losing control of your being. The ego screams, kicks, and creates illusions because it knows that true love and true surrender disintegrate it, making it obsolete. The ego yearns for static security, familiar walls, even if they are a prison. The soul cries out for free expansion, and expansion hurts in a unique way because it requires the painful breaking of the thick shell that once, in fact, served as a necessary shelter. This person is not your enemy. They are the powerful catalyst for this unavoidable expansion. Every little disagreement, every moment of dense electric silence, every reconciliation filled with relief and salty tears is part of a sacred process of emotional alchemy. You are not there to play house and simply learn to coexist peacefully with each other superficially. You are being refined, purified, and fused by the purifying fire of this intense coexistence. If you pause for a moment, silence the noises of the world, and gaze with absolute attention at the vast and intricate tapestry of your life, you will perceive with crystal clarity that all the past pains, all the times your heart was trampled or broken, were not cruel punishments of fate, but surgical preparations. The universe was patiently sculpting within you the depth, the hollowness, and the resilience necessary to house the colossal greatness of what was to come. You inevitably needed to experience shallow and superficial love to immediately recognize the deep and oceanic love when it knocked on your door. You needed to know the cutting cold of abandonment to appreciate the constant warmth of loyal permanence. If that specific person with that exact energy had come to you earlier, 5 or 10 years ago, you simply wouldn't have been ready. Your gaze wouldn't have the maturity, shaped by pain, necessary to see beyond the superficial chaos of modern life and recognize the underlying and eternal peace it carries. Everything, absolutely everything, happened exactly as it needed to happen, in the measured, perfect, and inexorable rhythm of a celestial clock that does not suffer, not even for a second, from our earthly temporal anxiety. Therefore, the great and ultimate challenge now is no longer to actively fight against what you feel so intensely, but to learn to relax and rest in the overwhelming grandeur of it all. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine the chronic tension in your shoulders, accumulated over years of resistance, melting like ice exposed to the hot sun. Imagine the invisible iron armor which you have bravely carried for so long, giving way, falling to the ground in slow motion and shattering on the floor.